everyone. Today we have our another new episode, and we have our world famous speaker, Madam Ali Rice, Professor Rob, and Mr. Adam. We will discuss on mental health issues and definitely integrations with artificial intelligence. First, I would like to give chance to Madam Ali Rice.
Okay. Well, my only experience with chatbots actually is involved in kind of training for certain things. So from my experience, they're very good at doing kind of basic things, but I don't know how nuanced they are to deal with things like emotions. So I'm quite curious to see how this would pan out. So and I'm not sure how it works. So I don't know how it kind of assesses what your emotions are and how to regulate them. So I'm quite curious to see, and I would say as well that it's kind of natural for our emotions to fluctuate depending on circumstances. So yeah, and I do a lot of yoga and meditation. So I think one of the things that I know from my own experience is that you have to kind of regulate your kind of uprightness, as it were, despite what's going on around you, to be able to deal with circumstances. So I think kind of if that's what that chat box is going to do, that helps regulate your kind of reactions to things, so you can keep a calm head and kind of and thought processes going, so that they aren't kind of overcome with emotion. It sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, ma'am. Professor Rob, we need detailed explanation from you. Yes, how this technology improve and how we can apply.
Sure. Well, it's really kind of the difference between chatbots and true AI. The concept of chatbots are bots, basically scripted entities that learn by listening and interacting with people. They're fairly rudimentary. Microsoft did a test a couple of years back with a chatbot, and with the idea that it was going to carry conversations, and people treated the bot poorly, and by the end of the test, it was saying a whole lot of very inappropriate things, causing the test to be shut down. The next generation conversational AI is a bit more advanced, and while certainly not sentient or self-aware by any stretch of the imagination, can present much more like a human and use a human voice. The advantages of using this technology are that they don't get angry, they don't get sad, they don't get tired, they don't get frustrated. The disadvantage is they are limited to whatever they've been trained to do. And many of these initial implementations are machine learning implementations where programmers have actively configured the AI to handle certain events within their framework. The next generation will be deep learning AIs, conversational AIs, likely increasingly using synthesized data to keep the learning sets down. And they will be far more capable of handling a lot more things. But the advantage to them as we move forward is probably one of scale. We don't have enough people. We have to handle mental health problems. Certainly not enough well-trained people to do it. And here, AI is being used by a number of healthcare organizations to fill those gaps and provide a way for people to interact with the healthcare system when people are not available. When you're in crisis or you're feeling suicidal, calling and getting a busy signal or being told that you'll get a call back in several hours may simply be too late to handle the crisis. And so the conversational AI steps in at that point and gives the individuals something to talk to. Granted, this activity does need to be flagged and monitored. So in case the individual starts spiraling out of control, somebody can step in and provide other mitigating fashions, police drive-by, some type of health service agent coming by and doing a health and safety check. Something along those lines can be triggered, so you don't have people spiraling out and the outcome you're trying to avoid still occurring. We're still at the very beginning of this technology and rollout. Most of the implementations of conversational AI I've seen that have been successful are more on the sales side, companies trying to sell something to somebody else, as opposed to the medical side, which has been somewhat resistant to the technology. In fact, if you call into most health organizations today, you will probably, you're more likely to interact with more of one of the older systems that isn't very conversationally aware and simply frustrates you as it rotates you around different decision trees before you get to wherever it is you want to go. The following generations of technology are far more capable and not at all representative of what people run into today. But in full implementation, you should be able to get a higher degree of mental health care with less people, faster, more consistent, and as long as you handle the fringe cases that will increasingly be reduced by the capabilities of these AIs also increasing, you'll be able to meld man and machine and come up with a solution that best balances the lack of people, lack of skills, and the need to provide instant mitigation to somebody that is having a major difficulty. So it's a fascinating area of technology and a core milestone on our way to creating AIs that can fully interact with people across a variety of industries.
Thank you, Professor Rob. Mr. Adam, what you want to add for today's discussion? Very unique topic, and I know that you have many important things to share with our audience. Yeah.
Thank you, Sharif. Okay. Well, like you said, I was surprised by the choice of topic today because it's quite a unique topic, but I don't think we have done this one before. Well, I certainly haven't if you guys did before already. But my initial feelings to it were negative ones, I think, unless I have got the wrong idea or a bit off base. If it is literally an AI chatbot to aid mental health patients, I personally don't think it is a good idea or not a wise one, despite being a good-natured or well-intentioned idea. In my opinion, mental health is greatly affected by authenticity. So I think that a human being has a better chance or is better equipped or more suited to de-escalating mental health crises and situations than a robot or a chatbot or a more sophisticated AI even. It's important to note and make the distinction there, which Professor Rob mentioned a few minutes ago. There are distinctions like from chatbot or chessbot, something that could sail through the Turing test or a more advanced counterpart. So authenticity, is something authentic or is it not authentic? Also the soulfulness or soullessness, which can be connected to authenticity, but or still be its own value, because I do believe that there are lots of things that are outside of our normal modes of perception that affect us greatly. And so I think consciously or subconsciously, a patient would know that it's talking to something that's not sentient, and I think that could that wouldn't help the situation. I think that could cause mental health patients to spiral down even more. So I think for the foreseeable future, we should stick to people properly trained to handle mental health situations, but not AI, and certainly not just yet. That's what I think.
Thank you. Mr. Saleh, what you want to add for today's discussion? I know that Bangladesh definitely a developing nation, so what's happening right now, especially with these mental health issues? Is there any research happening? For today's topic, definitely, I'm sure Bangladesh do not have this kind of applications, but what is your understanding or what you want to share from you?
Okay, thank you so much for inviting me here. So yes, as per Adam, as you said, that to me this topic is very unique and new, and I haven't heard before about the using chatbots in regulating or assessing mental health. But yes, in terms of mental health, there has been some initiatives seen in couple of years in Bangladesh. In previous, we used to think about taking mental health treatment or any kind of mental health session is considered a taboo. Like, people don't take it easily. People will think that, okay, if a person becomes mad or mentally unstable, they go to the psychiatrist and take mental sessions. but now the scenario is changing gradually, and people are thinking about their mental health condition, and people are also consider it equal to keep their mental health as good as possible, like they actually take care of his or her physical health. And yes, and there are lots of initiatives, there are lots of research are happening in this area, particularly in terms of stress management. For example, there are research on how to handle stress in workplace or something like this. And I believe that as we are now we are familiar with chatbot, right? So in terms of supporting mental health professionals, chatbot could be a very good innovation in mental health management. And that's what I want to say something. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Very important point you bring. You know that World Talent Economy Forum, this week we will organize a very special episode with Central Bank of Bangladesh. Next month, we are working with Energy Ministry of Bangladesh. So we will support around 55,000 peoples to this energy ministry with the help of our developed nations people. That is our vision. That is our mission. That's why you are also academician. You teach in university. I love to collaborate with your university. We all love to want to collaborate because many unique topic we bring, many unique things we already discuss. And these are the people, they are very expert from the industries and industrial insight they discuss with our audience. And I'm sure if your students, you academician, they utilize this kind of things and they follow what our actually mentor, our speakers, they shares, and what actually Professor Rob Enderle share with our audience. If you follow them or take him as a mentor for the university, then it can be a very, very effective solution for developing nations. That is the things I believe that we can collaborate and we can make a meaningful contribution. That is the way actually World Talent Economy Forum, we are developing our ecosystem, and that is our objective. So that's why I request all of the developing nations partners, we need more of your support. Use our content, utilize our content. We have a lot of resources like Professor Rob Enderle. They can help you. They can help you to grow, and especially you can get a real guideline. Experienced people help. This way, actually, developing nation can minimize the gap. That should be a good strategy, I believe, and it's work. Uh, Madam Ali Rice, interesting things we are observing, let's say from Bangladesh, that this kind of topic is very new for them. So how we can create awareness? We are developing a lot of technology, a lot of innovation happening in developed worlds. But he is a very educated man. He's from universities. He's academician. But he said that still country like Bangladesh, they do not know much. They do not have application of doing this kind of research. How we can help this developing nation like country like Bangladesh, India, or Pakistan, or Indonesia? What is your advice?
But I think kind of the awareness of mental health is something that has carried taboo for a long time. And even in this country, one of the things that people are encouraged to do is talk. And I think we're, even though technology is advancing, we're tending to be more and more isolated. And particularly in the last 2 years, with the COVID situation. So I think the levels of anxiety and mental health issues, especially with young people, and across the board really is really accelerated. And I think the mental health fallout since COVID is, lots of older people, because of the situation of COVID, have become really neurotic about even going outside of their homes. So I think, my experience is only from, where I live. I live in the UK in the Cotswolds. But I think the thing is that, in country, there needs to be a cultural appreciation of what's needed. And there's no quick fix for mental health, But I think one of the interesting things might be if the chat box or that there's some way of kind of assessing kind of how people are. Because I think in extreme cases, having AI kind of consulting with people or being the first port of call when they're in, in near suicide conditions isn't the answer at all, is it? So, I think, but for anxiety and things like that, probably it's quite a good thing to help kind of stabilize the situation so they feel like they can kind of go outside of their doors or, face situations that would be normal for some people, but as it invokes anxiety in others. But I think for kind of extreme mental health, they do really need expertise. So yeah, and I think that the mental health, I think people have really as kind of understood there's a physical situation, but a mental situation sometimes is something that people just don't understand unless they've experienced it or experienced it firsthand with their friends or family. So I think and my husband used to be a psychiatric nurse for years and years. So I think that there's a level of compassion that's needed that wouldn't come from a chat box and chatbot, sorry. So I think, so I agree with Adam, that kind of authenticity and somebody that knows how to respond in a compassionate way is imperative. So yeah.
Thank you, Professor Rob. You are very valuable mentor for World Talent Economy Forum, and you support us a lot. I'm really grateful to you, especially you support us a lot from day one. And yes, now we are growing, we are getting a lot of students and a lot of involvement with developing nations. How actually, very simple, we can welcome you in developing nations, and you can help us like on the spot train people or provide them consultancies and give them real knowledge. That is important. I feel this is very, very important. Good knowledge, real people. This is the major challenge for developing world. How you can help.
Well, it depends on the problem that the entity is facing. My skill set's broad, but it's not unlimited, and so it really comes down to the questions that are being asked and how you would like them addressed. I don't spend a ton of my time training others. Most of the time I'm brought in to fix problems that companies or individuals are struggling with. And a lot of the fix really comes down to defining the problem in the first place so it can be fixed. A lot of times the problems seem overwhelming, way too complex. Culturally tied to the operations of the business or entity and difficult to change. But those are the kinds of problems that I typically have to deal with, and I'm reasonably good at solving them. But that's my thing. So it really depends on what you need done and whether or not my skill set matches up with the problem and the solution that you wish to arrive at. But anyway, back to the question of chatbots or conversational AI and medicine. A lot of the common concern with people that haven't used the current generation of technology is that they aren't empathetic. But I should point out, an awful lot of people aren't very empathetic either. It's unfortunately it's not a skill that's widely held these days. The points made about mental health, though, are pronounced over between 2020 and 2021. The American Psychological Association did a telehealth practitioner survey, and the depressive disorders went from 58% to 70%. Anxiety disorders went from 72% to 82%. Trauma and stress-related disorders, 46 to 58%. Eating disorders, 10% to 15%. Sleep went up 5% to 38%. Substance-related addictive disorders went up 9% from 18% to 27%. And obsessive compulsive and other related disorders went from 25 to 35%. All trending in the wrong direction, largely due I think, to isolation and the inability to interact with others. Which is increasing mental health problems across the board. As I mentioned before, we don't have enough people. We don't have enough mental health professionals, and mental health professionals we have are not all of equal capability. Like in any career path, you've got folks that are very good who are in high demand, and you have folks that pretty much suck at the job and probably shouldn't be in that field to begin with. Here too, AI is being deployed. Some health organizations are deploying it as a monitoring agent to monitor the sessions, capture what works and what doesn't work, and use it as a training tool to bring up the underperforming mental health professionals and allow those that are overperforming to share their skills broadly without taking away from their time with patients. Because as I mentioned, that we don't have enough right now, and we've got more patients than we've got people. So if we start taking the best folks and start putting them into training roles, the people they're helping we'll have to find others to be helped by, and those others probably won't be as good. So it's a collateral damage to using people to train other people, but using AIs to facilitate that training and lower the load on mental health professionals has been working. In Forbes, they talked about a censure, and we mentioned old people, and with regard to folks in my age class and older, there is a serious problem with them being isolated and not being able to talk to people. And what Accenture did is they brought up a system that conversational AI that allowed the older person to ask the older person about their life, allowed them to share stories, took up their time and actually captured these experiences that then could be shared in books or just simply shared with their heirs and offspring, either real time or at a later date, capturing memories that will otherwise be lost when these people pass, and engaging those people in a mental exercise that helps them remain cognitive, that helps maintain their mental health, and also makes them feel like they're not alone. One of the big technological progressive advances right now is to develop a robot to keep older people company, because this isolation is driving them into premature mental problems and premature death. And if they could be given a companion, albeit even a limited one, often pets serve the purpose for many. So it doesn't require a great deal of capability to provide comfort to someone that lacks any comfort. And while I can agree with some of the commentary as far as people maybe being better, just recognize that all people aren't better. It's a very wide skill base, and right now automation is doing much better than somebody that would be really bad at the job. Certainly not as well as somebody that would be really good at it, but often better than nothing. And it's that nothing bar you're trying to achieve here, because we don't have enough mental health professionals, and we have an awful lot of people currently dropping through the cracks, as is being shown by all the metrics on mental health, which are currently going the wrong way, and there's no human solution currently in sight. So technology is being forced to step in, and it's starting to do the job, whether it's assisting with training or actually interacting with the people. It is working better than nothing, not working as well as it will in the future, and certainly not working yet as well as some of the best practitioners, but it is working to help some of the poor practitioners to raise their skill set. And as we talk about how the technology might be deployed in some place like Bangladesh, that's probably the deployment you'd be looking for. How do you raise the overall capability of the people in this particular field? You may not want to displace them yet or supplement them yet, but at least bring their training up so it's equivalent across the ecosystem, and so that you get a much higher level of capability in this mental health area, which is so critical to every geography, and I'm assuming in Bangladesh as well.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Adam.
Thank you, Sharif. So yes, I just wanted to expand a little bit on what I previously said at the beginning. I mentioned authenticity, a lack of authenticity, as well as soulfulness and soullessness. Like I said, I do have a lot of confidence and faith in schools of thought that consider forces and influences that are just outside or even way outside our normal, everyday, materialistic modes of perception and sensory processing. So spirituality and ideas like the soul are not that controversial to me, and are standard considerations in my mind. I'm not an atheist, actually. I'd call myself a polytheist or even pantheist. But in terms of values such as authenticity and soulfulness, I think the implications are quite obvious. An AI chatbot would be described by me as soulless, although that could change one day, or I could be proven wrong someday. But for the sake of this argument, this discussion, an AI chatbot would be soulless for now, obviously. And on the other hand, a human staff member or therapist with a warm body and an understanding and compassionate mind with a disarming bedside manner would be soulful, of course. And I know not all people who work in that sector are nice people, and some are very not nice, of course, but in general for this discussion again. And authenticity is again quite obvious. An AI chatbot is not authentic, whereas on the other end, a therapist or medical practitioner who genuinely feels empathy for their patients, has a genuine desire and need to heal in their hearts and to improve life qualities from then on until they pass. That is as authentic as you can get. So I do think that using chatbots for these patients would be too much like sitting a hyperactive or naughty child in front of the television. It will sedate them and keep them quiet temporarily, but it won't solve any problems and will only serve to do a disservice to whoever it is that's been plonked in front of the screen and prevent them from getting any long-term benefits, even if it does make the life of the parent or the medical practitioner or even the patient a bit more quiet and make the shifts go more smoothly day by day. But yes, they'll only do a disservice to the patient or the child and will have a corrosive and iatrogenic effect on mind, body, spirit, soul, rather than proper, mature tools to help cope with their conditions. And I think mental patients would feel insulted at being made to interact with such entities, as if they are seen as stupid as well as mentally unwell, causing them to spiral, or causing reality to seem less authentic, again causing them to downward spiral. And only today I learned of the dead internet theory. I think I heard it once or twice before, but I wasn't sure what it was until today, and I read about it. And that's it's a theory that hypothesized that the internet died in 2016 or 17, and that most of the people we interact with or watch or listen to are actually just bots. And I could feel my own grip on reality slipping a little bit before snapping myself out of it. And I can assure you it was a very disquieting and uncomfortable feeling. And I fear automated chatbots will just have a similar effect on patients. So let's make the future more authentic and soulful. I'm not a Luddite, nor do I think authenticity and soulfulness are mutually exclusive with technology. In fact, I think they can be mutually inclusive, which I know seems rather odd even now, but yeah, that's how I feel.
Thank you. Professor Ching, can you hear me? Can you unmute, please? Can you unmute? Professor Ching, can you unmute yourself? Mr. Saleh, Professor Ching, I think you need to unmute yourself. So after Mr. Saleh, you can share your views. Yeah.
Okay. Hello again. Ali,
Hello.
Rob, Adam, and Salaf. Sorry for being late, but I've been very, very busy. I'm just sort of trying to run the whole show. I just did some calculation. I find the Federal Reserve is increasing interest rate a little bit too high. Okay. If they hold on now and lower it a little bit.
We're talking about medical chatbots today. We're not on the Federal Reserve. We're medical chatbots.
Okay, let me get back to this.
Really need to stay on the topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me get back to, it's not on the topic or not. Okay, this is Tyler Cohen. He's a very sensible economist. And he said that there's no more low-hanging fruit. He means knowledge, low-hanging fruit of knowledge. But here we have a case where there are many low-hanging fruit of marketing. Okay. Today, this topic is about marketing something AI. Okay, that's good. That's very good. Okay, so the money-oriented society fit into this.
It's not about marketing. We're talking about chatbots used for mental health.
Yeah, you don't need chatbots. You can use a computer screen. Okay.
We are discussing, Professor Ching, I want to help you.
Yeah.
We are developing a knowledge-oriented society. I do not know how much you know about World Talent Economy Forum initiative. we are creating knowledge. You are seeing
Yeah.
Professor Saleh from Bangladesh, right?
Yeah.
He's also professors. So Professor Saleh, like him, we have thousand partner from developing nations, and
Yes.
we sharing our content 100% free.
Yes.
We do not have any sponsor for this event, for
Yeah.
these things. So that's why for our value and for our cultures and everyone volunteering, supporting our initiative.
Yes.
Professor Rob, from day one, he is supporting.
Yes.
So we are actually developing a knowledge-oriented society. What
Yes.
you dream, like your dream and my
Yeah.
dream, or
Yes.
our dream is same. We do not try to sell anything. We never utilize any sponsor. We never
Yes.
utilize any people money. We are completely free, like open source mode.
Yeah.
So
This.
we deserve some respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the
Hello,
same point.
Professor Ahmed. This is exactly my point. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's
We are doing the
almost
same thing.
there
Professor
is
Rob.
absolutely no knowledge content in today's topic.
Yes.
That's what I say.
No. Professor Rob, Madam Ali,
No,
Mr. Adam,
no knowledge
Saleh,
content.
everyone.
You can use iPhone. You can use anything to cheer up
No,
some patient.
we can as an open thinker, we can think different solutions. We can discuss about different solutions, which will
Yeah.
help to understand
No.
the
You say,
developing
no.
nations.
No, I ask people to do knowledge. Okay, the first knowledge they need to do is the solution value. Okay, they continue avoid this. Okay, they want to go. They should make robots, not robot to talk to some patient. Okay, all this you can use an iPhone, you can use a computer screen. Now that's 50, 100 years ago. We already have television. We can already do that. What's new here? What's new here? Okay, Ra, you tell me what's new here. Okay, I don't see anything new here. I say there's many low-hanging fruits for the money-oriented society. This is not for this knowledge-oriented society. Okay, we have outlined the knowledge-oriented society, and this is not on the path that we.
Not sure I understand.
Yeah, sure, Rod, you can raise. You think about it. You raise whatever you think knowledge content in this. Okay.
Maybe we could talk about this another time.
Okay, anybody can contribute. Actually, this subject is, you do have AI. Okay, AI is great. AI can be projected and
AI
many.
mental health.
Okay.
Professor, I want to help you. Mr. Saleh, in your university in Bangladesh, how many students know about today's topic? Just give us a fair answer.
Okay, so need to make a question poll and ask the students how many of them they know about it. But yes, they know about chatbot. Chatbot is quite familiar. Yeah, chatbot is quite common. I think almost all of them.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Let
but
me give you
talking about
true story.
Mr.
What
Saleh,
I see.
to the point. Please, I will help because these issues need to be solved. This is very ethical issues. We never take any sponsor. We never go under any company. We never support any companies. So this is very new, Mr. Saleh. Am I right?
Yeah.
As a professor, do you believe this kind of topic discussion is helpful for Bangladeshi students and your professor? Do you believe?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. So there will be some issues and new issues will be there.
Mr.
Yes, so definitely very helpful.
Professor, you have to visit around the world. You have to respect all of the culture.
Yeah, I get it around
Many
the world.
people around the world. This is first
I know
time.
how all these things come
This
about.
is first time, Professor. Maybe you never visit Bangladesh. You never visit his university. Maybe. So, Professor, the world is so big. Why I'm doing this? I'm doing this last 14 years. 14 years.
Yes.
I know you are very experienced. When different cultural people come, they learn from each other. This is valuable for my country.
No, you
This
haven't
is
seen
valuable
what's
for my
happening.
grassroots level
You
people.
haven't seen what's happening here in Silicon Valley. Okay. In
Mr. Rob,
Silicon Valley,
he shared
you
his
can get
experience.
any idea. Okay, you get any idea. Self-driving cars. Okay, or any idea. You
Professor,
just give
this
to some
topic I
venture
choose
capitalists, and they fund it, and they promote it, they market it. It will work. Okay. Regardless of what other people think. Okay.
Sir, I'm very
Here
honest
you have
with
another
you.
case. Your product can be marketed by Silicon Valley and it will spread worldwide. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Sheriff, what do you have to say? I think this here in Silicon Valley, we got the machinery, which just you have some idea, then people look at it, see it can make money, then they would promote it, they will put money into it, they market it, people listen to it, then they will buy it, they will buy into it. Okay, this is the way that I see. Many things come about. I don't understand why they're avoiding knowledge, but now I know. They have ways to generate money. Okay, there is a machinery here in Silicon Valley which just continue generating money by this method. They put money in, they market it, then they UPI, IPO, and they got a company, worth billions of dollars, and they keep going. This is continuous. It's continuous going. So they want my infinite spreadsheet. I put into that. They say they want people to say good things about this. They want a recommendation letter. Okay, I have many recommendation letters, but I would not give them.
We need to stay on topic. That we're talking about AIs and mental health. The whole point of this is to talk on that topic. I have no idea where you are, but it's not where we are, and we need to get you where we are.
Yeah. Okay. Mental topic. Okay. Mental topic. This. Where are the innovations? Okay, Rob, why don't you tell me where are the innovations? Where are the knowledge introduced in this?
Sure. The Google effort, the one where the researcher just identified it as sentient, which it probably isn't, is probably the leading effort in the AI space in terms of being able to create something that presents as human.
Yes.
And it so aggressively does that the lead researcher on the project has been sent home, because he was talking to everybody else about the fact that it needed to have rights. The AI needed to have rights as a human. That's a substantial improvement over the Turing test passed that the same technology did back in 2015. So it's advancing very quickly, and now it can even fool AI researchers into making it think that it's human. A lot of the earlier discussion that you missed was whether or not an AI could be empathetic. And the real question is can it present as empathetic? Could it convince a third party that it has empathy? And that test has been passed. The AI can now.
You're off the topic. Today we talk about robot doing this. Okay, no, actually,
we're talking about AI doing this. We're talking about
right. Okay, AI doesn't have to be presented just by robots. Okay, AI can be presented by our computer. This screen here can present AI.
Well, that's right. It doesn't have to be a robot. It can be any type of a
computer. It can be even a better situation will be meta universe. Metaverse will present this better than AI.
No,
better than robot.
You're making a delineation without a distinction. The metaverse will have AI in it. It's effective. It's a superset. So
today's topic is robot. The necessity of robot playing this role. Okay, I would not say there's innovation. We had 20 years ago. We have Pepper. Pepper come out and not they are probably going bankrupt. Okay, so all these things, there is this element of people, venture capitalists come in promoting ideas, and all this are marketing oriented. So sure, if they push it high enough, this idea, we are talking about will be the central, most important idea. People will buy it when they see it. They think, oh, the hospital will buy it. Hospital gonna have money.
People are already buying it. So I'm still trying to figure out where you're going with this. This technology's real. It's in place. Most of it's in trial, but it's not. This isn't. I mean, you're pointing out that yes, the computer science goes back decades. But to argue that because we had mainframes back in the 60s that nothing new has happened since then, it reminds me of the guy back in the patent office. I think 1920s. It said there's no
exactly. No, you're getting to the point. No, Rob, you're getting to the point. Okay, you're getting to the point that whether this is a knowledge or this is marketing. Okay, take your pick. Okay, You tell me honest. I don't mind if you pick.
Separate the two. Yes, if you have a product, you're going to end up marketing it, and often, and you pointed out with regard to autonomous driving, people get ahead of their skis. So Musk was marketing autopilot as autonomous driving when it's a level 2+ system, and it's not. And so they've had 323 accidents and people that have been killed. They probably would have been if the product had been properly marketed. But that's a different issue, I think.
That's exactly the issue. You see, right now, marketing interfering with knowledge. That's exactly the issue. You see, eventually, when it's all knowledge, then you will see people coming with a marketing idea. We will not fund it. Okay, we will not fund it. They use money to generate money. Okay, they can do that. I don't mind. You know, they can come in and compete. I'm just giving you the picture. This is the topic. Today's topic is talking about robot. Okay, this robot gave a example.
It's not robots. It's as you pointed out. The mental health solution can be provided using a number of terms. It's computational in nature, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a robot per se. As you pointed out, you just
both to represent robots.
The interface is anything you want. I mean, in absolute sense, anything that takes place of a person could be a robot. So using the broad definition, it kind of is. Yeah. But in this particular case, we're not talking about a mechanical man. We are simply talking about a conversational AI that can interact with a human and help them work through mental problems. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the implementation right now is to actually look at mental health professionals and come up with best practices, but that will develop training sets that could then be used for deep learning systems to actually supplement those healthcare professionals, either using them for initial interviews or for actual therapy, depending on the implementation. But it will develop the data sets we need to create a very real solution. So, but we're at a point in time, and it is very young. But I don't understand your point on marketing, other than the fact that I do agree that marketing can get ahead of the product, but that's not really the topic we have today.
Yeah, the topic today is again that people are not going after knowledge. Okay? People continually try to get new ideas, try to market it, and the best place to market is here in Silicon Valley. I have my company have many ideas they want to market. We say, no, we don't want you to market. And also this idea they really want to market, they want it so much is the solution value. I say no, because it hurt people. Okay, it gave the true answer, but the market is always wrong, so it's always in conflict with the market.
Professor, I want to
market
I want to get into the topic.
In conflict. Here is solution value.
There is no conflict. There is no conflict. Trust me.
No, there's no conflict in this case. Okay,
what you are proposing, I'm sorry,
topic,
Professor.
Okay, but there is a case where there's a tremendous conflict, just going opposite, because you either using market is right or you think solution value is right.
Okay, let's say, Mr. Saleh, he's a professor. Yeah. He complete lot of degree from abroad. He going back to his country, and he become professor and he gets salary. Is it wrong?
Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong. I would say should be.
If he develop an academy, or a university, and he make money, is it wrong?
Well, let me tell you, people who give out prizes, knowledge prizes, are billionaires. Okay, today people are much interested in making money than in making knowledge. Is that correct, Sheriff? You answer me. You see, you are trying to go so shallow all the time, and this is no good.
Let's see.
You got to go deep.
Not on topic.
Yeah. Okay. I want to give chance, Professor Rob, because our audience want to learn about today's topic. First, I want to give chance, Professor Rob, then we will go for concluding remarks. Professor Rob, because audience waiting for you, they would love to learn more about today's topic.
Okay.
Well, okay. So the real nature of this is the advancements in human machine interface, and that's probably where we're seeing the most work at the moment. With the fundamental goal, as we talked about yesterday, with regard to the singularity, of really creating a system where man and machine are not only inseparable, but they operate together optimally. An unideal solution is one where either side achieves dominance to the point that the other side is harmed. I'll give you an instance where if the human influence is too great, it comes down to bias. We certainly see that in terms of medicine and politics, and certainly medicine is the topic today. But if the human introduces too much bias, then the system will take that bias and spread it around at scale, which would be a serious problem. On the other hand, if the computer has too much control, as Adam mentioned earlier, and Ali also mentioned, you can lose the humanity of the solution. You can lose track of what it is you really want to accomplish against whatever the program goal is, which may not have been adequately programmed. And so what you need to try to achieve is balance. And by the way, the other reason you want to achieve a balance is so you don't suddenly put a whole bunch of people out of work, and then you don't have anybody to buy the products or the services that you're producing, which would be problematic as well. So the goal should be to create balance. And the issue that's creating this medical need for chatbots is partially technically related. It's due to the fact we are going through massive levels of change, and the older we get, the harder it is for us to adopt to change, and thus the need for mental health. To give you a concept, Obamacare, to a large extent, which was a universal medical care program that really is the universal to close, to a large extent failed economically because the math that was used didn't take into account mental health. The calculation was that young people would put lots of money into the system, but they wouldn't need money out because they're relatively healthy. And then the older people would consume the services, keeping everything in balance. But by leaving mental health out, they didn't realize that mental health for young people was spiking, and the program had to cover that mental health. And so they had a cost element that hadn't been taken into account. And thus the program became unprofitable because it was inadequately analyzed. And inadequate analysis goes to the heart of what could be our long-term issues with computerizing anything, automating anything. If the data is bad, or if you leave out elements, then you're going to have a bad outcome. When you're using an AI for mental health, that could be particularly problematic because our data sets surrounding mental health aren't great, largely due to the fact that they're constrained due to HIPAA requirements and the requirements surrounding health privacy. And mental health privacy is one of the most protected areas that we have. Yet to develop these solutions, we will need to capture this information across practitioners and across healthcare institutions, which brought us to federated data. Federated data allows you to pull information from healthcare institutions without identifying the people that provided it, thus maintaining the autonomy of the patient throughout the process. And that's allowing us to develop these massive data sets. But the issue with massive data sets is they're massive. And that means that the computational resources needed to analyze them and develop these deep learning systems are expensive and time consuming, which has taken us to synthetic data, which is the later trend, where you take data sets and you basically summarize them, or you take test cases and you use them to generate the data that you're going to use to train these deep learning systems. But the end result is that you then as you move away from the deep learning data sets, these massive data sets, is the fact you may lose elements that you otherwise may need at the back end in order to make diagnosis. So this is the area that we're going to be struggling with. As I mentioned, the real benefits to the AI applied to this particular problem are, at least as being implemented, are in two categories. One of them being training. The training one's kind of brain dead. You can just simply look at the behaviors that seem to be having the most positive results, and then share those behaviors so other healthcare practitioners become better over time. That's the easy way to do it. And then use that same data to develop data sets that then can be used to train AIs that can be used to supplement the mental health care professionals. Now, as we've seen, as we roll up this idea of human digital twins, which is probably the next big step in this space, and we now have companies actually providing human digital twins, what they first come to market as is more like a digital assistant. They're able to do things like fill out forms repetitively, take notes comprehensively, do things that mental health professionals don't necessarily do well. A lot of times notes and records are kept in analog in paper files. They never make it into computers, and thus the data or the learnings are never passed on to anybody else, let alone passed on to anybody else at a computer scale. And so these systems can come in and fix those underlying problems, allowing us to better create the data sets that we will be able to use in the future to fix the large-scale problems they'll be asked to do. It's a progressive, if you will, evolution of the AI based and going back to solving the data collection problem, working on assuring we remove bias, which is still an area that we're not putting enough focus on, and then eventually creating AIs that could do more than supplement medical professionals, but could actually replace them on an increasing level, which is important when we think about the fact we simply don't have enough of them. Replacement can be problematic in an area where you've got too much staffing, but where you don't have enough staffing, then AIs can come in and either unload the medical health professionals, allowing them to have more time to do helping people as opposed to filling out forms or doing things with regard to compliance, and eventually be able to take an increasing level of medical load as they evolve into the future. I should point out, though, if you've never actually talked to a current generation conversational AI, it is really hard to tell it's not human. I mean, if you weren't told ahead of time that it wasn't human, it's good at convincing you it is. As I said, it's one of them is convinced even an AI researcher that it's human. And I know in trials with Watson, as I've mentioned before, we've had a lot of men asking Watson out on dates, thinking it was a real woman, and we already have issues with regard to anthropomorphizing hardware. This is just taking that one major step. First, we've had people that have tried to marry their phones, let alone some of the other activities that kind of showcase probably we need more mental health in areas where we're not looking at the moment.
Thank you, sir. Madam Aliraj, what's your concluding remarks for today's session?
I think that there probably is some capacity that you could apply it to mental health, so that it made things easier, or it kind of gave somebody something to kind of interact with, so that they kind of felt connected. And but I just think kind of in depth, if somebody needs real mental health support and they're struggling with reality, I don't think talking to a chatbot is gonna remedy any situation. I think that they need outside help that's not generated from technology. But I do think, if people are living with conditions that are kind of anxiety driven or something, that there probably is room to facilitate something. But extreme cases of mental health you need real support, from professionals. So yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Adam, what's your concluding remarks for today's session?
Thank you. Sorry about that, I lost my connection. But I got back in time to hear what Rob said about privacy. As I've mentioned before, I'm very pro-privacy, and it's something I view as a sacred right, and it should always be honoured. So for obvious reasons, confidentiality is king when it comes to criticism of people with mental and physical problems and conditions. So to what extent should we allow chatbots to utilize such information, knowledge, data? Is it something people can risk loosening security measures and safeguards for? I'm thinking no. And yet, to make a chatbot more convincing, to make it seem more empathetic and more authentic, should it be allowed to know some or most or all of what is wrong with the patient it's interacting with? Or should it be forbidden for these chatbots to know anything about particular patients' respective conditions? But then the interaction would seem less intimate, less dimensions to it. But of course, if AI is exponentially advancing, how long will it be until a chatbot or AI can, just from looking at you or scanning you, quickly work out what is wrong with you, even without any kind of files or logs from human medical practitioners? And soon these AIs will be able to do that for people who aren't mental patients. They could just look at someone walking down a footpath, scan them, and see they've got a heart condition before they even know it. So I think as more advanced we get, I think we should never lose sight of how important privacy is. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Saleh, what's your concluding remarks for today?
Yes, that's a very, very interesting topic that we have been discussed so far. So, like you using chatbot in mental support things seems very, very interesting. But I think that it may be applicable for the initial support for any sort of mental service seeking person. Like for example, like initial conversation, and to write like in terms of sharing any mental trauma. But if a person would like to get an actual support, or if a person would like to get actual solution to their to the problem, then I think uh, the real person can help to get the proper support in this case. I think chatbot is might be useful for getting some initial conversation. Like yes, maybe like in Bangladesh we have a huge population, like, and we have a very limited number of mental practitioners. In that case, it is useful, but in terms of getting in-depth support, only only the actual practitioner can help it in this aspect. And chatbot may not be the optimal solution in this aspect. We need to improve more aspect in this aspect, and we need to improve more AI infrastructure to get in-depth support in this perspective. So, hope for the best.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor Chim, what's your concluding remarks for today?
Yeah, basically, I've been following this robot development. Every type of robots. Okay, chatbot. Okay, I wish it would be successful, but the important robot to follow now is Elon Musk. He claimed he's going to have every year. He said he's going to have it next year. Okay, since 2019. Okay, so this year he said he will have it the end of this year. If he has a robot, a chatbot, it be part of it. You know that's quite simple. But you see, looking back, companies just fading. Every one of them fading. Okay, they think they want to produce a toy to talk to me. I like it. You know, you have a patient, you give him a toy. If it's really effective, that will be beneficial. So it will be an automatic situation. But somebody, I guess, if they really want to make money, again, they have to go into this mechanism, money making mechanism at Silicon Valley. They just have a way to do it. They have a university, Stanford. Okay, everybody try to copy Stanford. Stanford is a graduate student. They don't even get PhD. They go out and make billions. Okay, this is their strategy. Today's strategy is all money take highest priority. The rest is take either. If you people, anybody who wants to get into this field, you know, take a look at the venture capitalists, okay? Which topic they're supporting. Then you work on that, and you will share in this money-making scheme, okay? And this is what I'm against, basically. You know, this money is distracting. Just go out and make a little bit of money. Try to think about making money will distract people from thinking, okay? Thinking about knowledge. Okay, I'm against this, but that's all right. You know, people make money. I have no objection for that. I even invent money. I was just looking over my own video on invention of money. Okay, so basically, I claim I invent money, and obviously the society cannot understand, will not accept. But if I take it to a venture capitalist, they might want me to help me push it, but I would not take their offer. I'm actually for this chatbot. Okay, I'm actually for the chat. Every toy they make, every robot they make is intended for such a purpose. Okay, to keep not only the sick people, but the health people, to have some companionship which can communicate with them. Okay, so this is a great, you know, it's a great idea. Unfortunately, every automation should start with manual process. After you have the manual process all set, see, everything become routine. then you transfer it to machines. Okay, that's the process. So I'm actually for it. They have tried a lot. They fail so much. My criticism is nothing compared to their failures. Okay, so basically, Sheriff, you need to know this. You have to go into knowledge, do a complete overall survey of all the robots. Which one we need to follow? Okay, the one we need to follow now is definitely Elon Musk. This is a billionaire who is still looking into knowledge. Okay. And I follow him. The other people, if they can make money, they just go make money. Okay. This is probably not what my group is going after. So I'm for this. Basically, I'm for this. Every robot they produce will be applying this chatbot. And I wish them successful. Definitely. And I would say young people follow Elon Musk, and see how he work out his robot. Wish him success. Okay, so basically that's what I.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Professor Rob, what's your concluding remarks? What's your advice for developing nations?
Sure. Well, developing nations, there's always a chance to jump ahead and go where the technology is going, not try to go where it's been. I think the most interesting development in this area is actually the human digital twin. This underlying concept of developing a digital twin of yourself that works with you as a companion and then eventually begins to supplement you as it becomes more and more capable. Now, in this particular context, what that means is over time, you'll have a digital twin of yourself that acts like you do, thinks like you do, makes decisions like you do. And if you're having a mental health issue, this means you could run it against a series of, if you will, AI medical chatbots of psychiatrists and see what works. And you see what works against the digital twin, not against you. One of the big problems with regard to psychiatry is the fact that it's largely experimental. The level of sharing from practitioner to practitioner because of the needs for privacy is fairly low, and so you don't get the kinds of breakthroughs you might get in other areas. Though I think we're going to look at cancer research and say, "Boy, you would have thought that would have been solved long before now," but it's a very difficult problem. I should point out, though, for cancer research, some of the most advances are being done. Most beneficial advances are being done with some of the new supercomputers that have just been brought online. That are showcasing that some of the learnings we did during the COVID-19 outbreak can be applied to things like cancer, and you can make some advances in areas that were heretofore thought impossible. But with the digital twin, with the human digital twin, that allows you to do things like experiment on people without actually experimenting on people. You experiment on the digital twin, and that could allow you to advance this technology and capability quite broadly, without violating the privacy of individuals. Because you can take and aggregate the digital twins and create basically hybrids or blends of people that have the attributes of all the people that they've blended, but have no direct connection to the individuals that contributed. So you might decide that certain people might have a predilection to pedophilia or something along those lines, but you would never be able to drill through the analysis to find the patient that's seeking help for the problem. You would simply be operating against the aggregate, the persona, if you would, of the individual. And of course, that persona, going back to Hugh's concept with regard to marketing, could be used for marketing as well. You could come up with marketing schemes that work a lot better. Once again, testing against these aggregated digital personas, these synthetic people, if you will. To come up with beneficial programs. That wouldn't be as beneficial, of course, as using them to solve medical problems. But as we advance, the digital twins could allow us to step away from doing things like animal research, which a lot of us are struggling with at the moment, and also allow us to do things like solve geopolitical problems by looking at the behavior of these aggregated, synthesized digital twins. So digital twins, I think, if I were an emerging economy and looking at where I'd want to go next, I'd try to get ahead of the curve and look at now human digital twins and their application, both to medical research and to mental health, to see if that technology can advance in a way that would allow a competitive advantage and the technology developed in a place like Bangladesh to be sold to other parts of the world. Otherwise, if you chase, you're always going to be behind whatever the more developed areas are. You're always one step behind, because the places that are actually implementing the technology will always be able to outfund you. If you're trying to chase them in a particular technological area, you're just buying and implementing. You're not advancing beyond them. So I think this underlying concept of the metaverse, but as it's applied to human digital twins, will probably have the biggest impact on medical research across a number of vectors, particularly when we start emulating the human down to a biological element level, a cellular level, if you will, because that will allow us to do experimentation at scale that we just simply can't do now without putting lots of people at risk. And that's probably the best application of artificial intelligence right now, as opposed to weapons research, where it's being heavily funded, but actually helping us better understand ourselves to a degree where we can solve some of the diseases, mental and physical, that we can't currently solve.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your excellent analysis. I want to give thanks to all of our speakers for today, Professor Ching, Professor Rob, Madam Ali Rice, Mr. Adam, and our honorable speaker, Mr. Saleh. And I request all of our audience, especially from the developing nations, please share our content with your government agencies, with corporation and academy. I'm sure with a different kind of topic discussions and dialogues, debating actually help you to improve your knowledge, and it will help us to minimize the gap. And one important thing is this that World Talent Economy Forum, we do not have any income, we do not have any sponsor. Our speakers actually voluntarily support, they do not get any payments, everything is free, and we are trying to helping the developing nations. That's why country like Bangladesh, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Singapore, Japan, many countries from Asia, they are collaborating with us. From grassroots level people, we are engaging with millions of people. I just want to share that in Malaysia, we are actually developing our college. Beside this dialogue, yes, this dialogue is very important. From this dialogue, every moment we are learning. Learning is very important for us. Maybe for me, Mr. Rob Enderle is priceless. His experience and his advice is very important for developing nations. So yes, we are providing training and development. We are doing research. Many of my students, first time they are writing paper. This is not 1 and 10. It's more than 100. So that is the way we are actually supporting our grassroots level people. This is one of our batch. We are supporting them. Malaysia heavily need drone pilot. So they need 100,000 drone pilot. Only we have 1,850 pilots. So we need more than 98,000 drone pilots. So we are providing training and development. Technology is important. Definitely technology is important. Technology actually solving many problems. This is very small initiative we are taking. We need more support, more collaboration, more partnerships. And I'm sure, I think Mr. Saleh will agree with me, how we are contributing these developing nations, it's adding values. Really it's adding values. And trust me, I do it with the help of all of our speakers with zero money. I do not have nothing. So it's definitely knowledge-oriented society. Yes, now government agencies coming, now different university, they are collaborating with us. Only we believe we need passion, we need honesty, we need transparency, and we need commitment. And through this commitment, we are achieving this, and we are engaging with millions of people, not 1 to 100, millions of people we are engaging. And I want to give big salute to all of our speakers, those who continuously support World Talent Economy Forum. And still, I believe we are developing knowledge-oriented society. Only we need honest intention. Thank you, Professor Rob, Madam Ali Rice, Mr. Adam, Mr. Saleh, and Professor Ching for your continuous support. And I request all of our audience, please share our content as much as possible. It's 100% free, and definitely, I'm sure all of our speakers are very much happy to support our grassroots level people and our youth community from this developing world. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care.
My prediction, Elon Musk's robot will not be successful. Okay.
Excellent. We will discuss.
Challenge to us. Okay. So he said he's going to make it. We say no. Okay,
this
let's
is gonna
see
happen.
what happens. Okay, this is not. Okay, bye. Take
Bye,
care.
bye, bye.
Bye.
Ali, nice seeing you. Rob, thanks for the